Finally, the moment a couple of you have been waiting for.
It's all like bing bong, Jack.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Duval and St. Johns County. The show for Jag fans by Jag fans.
You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.
Here are your hosts, Franklin and Michael how you say it? DeZoba. Welcome to the Jaggernaut Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you back to another Jaggernaut Podcast. It's me, Michael D. Woo! Along with my brother Franklin. Franklin, give him a shot.
I don't know what to say.
All right, well, that's close enough, and that's really sort of how we feel. Man, Talk about a devastating loss in Detroit. Man, Detroit went in there, and I don't really know how to quantify that.
Okay, so let's start here. Here's a question I have for you. Has anything changed for you? The shock of what you saw right after you saw it, as opposed to it being a couple days, have passed. Has anything changed for you?
No, I'm still embarrassed to be a Jags fan. I'm embarrassed that I bought Jaguar merchandise this year. I mean, we still get together and hang out and watch the games. And if it wasn't for that camaraderie, I'm not sure that I would have the Jags game on at all. You get sick of it. You get sick and you get tired of it. The media makes excuses for it. Oh, there's nothing we can do. Oh, you don't fire these guys here. Oh, you don't do this here. That's why nobody in this organization is held accountable for any damn thing. Shad Khan's out on his yacht. He doesn't care. He's going to make money regardless. You would think how smart he is. He would know, well, if you win, you make more money. You make more money. It's better for you. That doesn't seem to be transpiring into the world of the NFL. Nobody cares. You got Doug Peterson, who he's a good offensive coordinator or coach. I think he's a good head coach. And he said weeks ago that, he hired Mike Caldwell and he believes in Caldwell. That is coach speak, right? But if you lit a fire under him, and this is what you got, something has to give. Dude, they call it, like Trevor Lawrence called it, an embarrassment. I'm not sure that word actually really is an embarrassment. I'm not sure that the loss was an embarrassment. I think it's worse. I don't know how much worse you can get. But it's worse.
I think the score is interesting. I have felt that there has been performances this year that, although the score was closer, were also embarrassing. And it's interesting that now you get the embarrassing thing come out. This is something that I think we've said, and you mentioned it just a second ago, and this is sort of tangential to it. You said that you don't think anyone cares, sort of held accountable. I think that might be kind of true. In this respect, like, I don't know how other teams are winning. I don't know what the difference is between other teams. I mean, obviously talent and coaching, but I mean, in regards to human nature and drive, like, I do kind of question the team's heart a bit. And I've said this before, I said that after the Chiefs game, and that's what I thought. That's why I was so pleasantly surprised by the Ravens' performance, because I thought the blowout was coming during the Ravens game, because I saw a team that didn't look like they were really, like, into it. And I wonder in regards to things, everybody's going to get paid. They're going to get paid the same thing no matter what the score is. Like, everybody's game check is the same if it was us winning 40-14 than it is the other team. So what's the difference? Like, it isn't that. What is the motivation for two groups of professionals? One showed up on the field and looked like they cared, and the other cared after the fact, kinda. But I wonder, are they putting in the work? Is it just Caldwell? Like, how are you this bad? How are you this out of position year after year? I don't understand it. I don't see this team doesn't appear to be a team full of people who are self-motivators. And because of that, I also don't think we have a coaching staff that helps them with the motivation. I wonder, there was that contract that Kyler Murray got saddled with that demanded he do playbook work. And I think, is this an epidemic in the NFL? And is the difference between the good teams and the bad teams the fact that the bad teams have more players who need contracts like that? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to it. I do know that it was when that game was over, I felt like we saw two stark coaching styles. If you watched any bit of Hard Knocks, you were introduced to Dan Campbell and you saw a fiery, motivating kind of guy. And Doug Peterson is not that, and maybe you don't need that, but in this game, it appeared two teams who are both, 4-7 going into it, I think.
Yeah.
One was fiery and ready to go, and the other team was ho-hum. And they've been ho-hum all year, and now they're sad, which is the first time we've seen that, because it takes a blowout to get them sad. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect next.
Nothing. I mean, what have they done in totality of the year to warrant anything different? So we're going to go. We're going to go into Tennessee and we're going to play you tough. We're gonna put it up, and we're still going to get our ass whooped. That's the way it is. Because somebody on our defense is going to do something stupid. That has been, or ETN's going to fumble, like he always seems to do. Or Zay Jones is going to drop 5 passes. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. This week it's going to be Christian Kirk, the one guy we've actually been able to count on. He'll have fumbleitis or can't catch. That's the problem. The problem comes from, to me, it comes from the top down. It comes from the ownership down. Nobody's on Doug Peterson saying, hey, what the hell is going on? So Doug Peterson isn't on his coaches and coordinators saying, what the hell's going on? Fix it. Nobody has any accountability whatsoever. The game was atrocious. And it's more than embarrassing to be a Jags fan. We're a laughingstock. Yeah. We've been a laughingstock, and we should be used to it. Oh, Jags fans should be used. We should just quit and go find other teams. But if you do that, what other franchises would want you?
Well,
we want more.
I think for me, what ends up happening is when you're a Jag fan, it kind of steals your thunder for football generally. I don't know how you are, but when the Jags do the Jag thing, I mean, I my appetite for football that rest of that Sunday is gone. I really got nothing.
I agree. It takes so much out of me, and I can't ever really seem to find it to even support my wife's team. And she's noticed that, but what the hell do you want me to do?
Yeah.
I have nothing left. It's debilitating. That's what it is. Being a Jags fan is almost a debilitating disease. It's hard. It's hard to say anything else.
Here's a microcosm of the issue for me. Trayvon Walker, and I'm not picking on him. Everybody's got problems, but because hey, Aiden Hutchinson, the Trayvon Walker stuff, and I don't know that Aiden Hutchinson's better than
Okay, so in that game, Aiden Hutchinson got 1 sack.
Yeah.
You remember the sack?
It was a blown, yeah.
It was manufactured. He didn't beat his man one-on-one straight up and get in there.
Well, that was toward the end of the game, right?
Yes,
Fourth
but
quarter?
it was manufactured. His team said, "Let's manufacture him something."
Look, here's the thing I remember. Wasn't that Cam Robinson deciding just not to block him? That was after Cam Robinson gave up a sack that almost cost Trevor his career. Or not career, but the year.
I don't think it was Cam Robinson. I think it was our center. Our center and guard went to the tackle. Aiden Hutchinson looped around.
Okay. There was a sack that Cam Robinson gave up in the fourth quarter where he just completely didn't take that guy on the outside, chose to double block another guy, let somebody come free. And that was after he had given up the sack that almost took Trevor out for the year.
Yep.
So, you know, this is the sort of stuff that this is very perplexing. But back to the Trayvon thing is interesting because you remember these guys coming out, Hutchinson, the whole thing about Hutchinson and versus Trayvon was Trayvon's bigger, faster, stronger, but he was raw and everybody knew that. I'm not super worried about the amount of sacks that Trayvon has per se. Hutchinson comes out and he's ready-made in a certain respect because he has moves. You've seen the pass rush moves. He's displayed these in college, and he's doing it now. What worries me is that it's the idea that you can take a raw talent like Walker and you can then mold him, because it's like now instead of doing whatever Georgia was doing with him, right, we can now have him focused on this one craft. And this is back to this idea of caring, right? How does somebody whose one job is to rush the passer? Now, I know there's aspects and covering and things like that. I get it. But when it's your job to rush the passer and you came in with a bull rush and you're still doing just the bull rush, I'm concerned that either he is so unintelligent maybe or so unwilling to do anything else that even a good coaching staff can't get to him, or is it a scenario where the coaching staff, you've had a whole off season, multiple games in a year, and you're still the same player we drafted, right? There's no difference. In fact, his stats are less than what they were, because now teams know what to expect from Trayvon. Like, if I'm coaching my left tackle, I just tell them, all you do is prepare for the bull rush. And if you get tilted one way or other, just hold him. It won't be called. Don't worry about it. It won't get called. Because he's not dynamic and his torso's right here. So if you just keep him right there, the refs won't really know. They can't see it because, typically when teams get those holding calls, it's because they're bending the corner and you can see they get held and, the momentum shifts and it catches the ref's eye. But Trayvon's just man on man all the time. So when he gets held, you're never going to get the call. Because it just doesn't, how do you know that he was held? You can't really, it doesn't catch the eye. And so he's ineffective. He's completely ineffective. Josh Allen, who was okay at pass rushing, is worse than he's ever been. So it leads to this question, like, the whole defense, where's the coaching? Are these guys playing in practice okay, and then they come to the game and it's like, Trayvon, how come you have swim and spins in practice, but you never do it in games? Do the coaches understand that he's never doing? Is he like this in practice? Have they taken him aside? Is he practicing on his own? Does Devin Lloyd have a playbook? Does he look at it? These are the questions that I have, because you watch the team and you're like, are they just showing up? Like, is it just, and it goes to your point, like maybe it is a top-down thing where there's no pressure from Khan to Peterson. There's no pressure from Peterson to the staff. There's no pressure from the staff to the players. And so they get in the game, and we've talked about this too, where it's this, the ball didn't bounce our way sort of talk, and this isn't who we are talk. And I'm thinking, no, this is who you are. Like, I'm surprised this hasn't happened earlier.
Before.
Yeah, the blowout.
Yeah.
Because this is the type of team we've seen the whole time. And I think for some reason, just things went the way they went, and it became a blowout. And there's part of me that wishes maybe this would have happened earlier. But I don't know if this will change anything.
No,
even still.
Even if they go back and they look at the last 12 games, they're not changing anything. You're not going to fire your defensive coordinator, even though I believe you should. You're not going to fire most of your defensive staff, even though I believe you should.
There literally are no consequences with this team.
And that's exactly right. There are no consequences. Mike Caldwell will be back next year. Woo! Everybody he selected to work under him, to train up, to push these players, which hasn't happened at all, will be back next year. Woo!
And it's one thing, too, because you could say, well, Balky sucks. And this is the thing. It's like, oh, Balky sucks. And it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Fine. Balky sucks. I'm back on that train. That's fine.
I agree.
No problem. Fire Balky. I'm back with it. That's great. I do have a problem with the idea, though, that every single move this guy has made is atrocious. Even if you're bad. Like, I don't know you could try to be this bad with player personnel acquisition. Every free agent is awful. Every draft pick is awful. It's like, no, to me, and I get it, like, we get it.
Right,
Balky
nobody bats
deserves
1,000,
to go, but the coaching has to be a problem.
Can you bat 500?
Yeah, the coaching has to be a problem. There's no way in the world. So just this, and it's in a way it's unfair to just use this one game, but here's the deal. This one game is a microcosm that's good. This is what bothered me about the Giants, too. The Giants game, because I looked at that game as a microcosm, too. And I saw the difference in the way the teams acted under their coaches. And there are teams that are on the bottom tier of the league in talent, yet play above that. We, in my estimation, are more talented than Detroit and the Giants, yet we are not playing near those teams. Those teams, that coaching, those players are getting as much as they can get. They're squeezing, they're getting blood from turnips, right? Whereas I feel like there's blood to get from us that the players don't show up to give. Like, they literally, I don't think they are as fiery. I don't think they care as much as they think they care. Like, maybe they think everybody else is doing this. Like, everybody else is mailing it in. Maybe this is the way it is. This is how professionals act. When other players are actually taking the playbooks home, talking over stuff, maybe our guys are playing Fortnite, smoking dope, drinking Hennessy, chilling, and showing up when they have to. I'm almost wondering if that's what's going on.
I don't know. I can't say for that. All I can say is it was disgusting. But yet, that is Jacksonville football. There's your microcosm. We're disgusting. We're so bad, it's disgusting. And nothing's going to happen. Nothing. Nobody else cares. Khan doesn't care. He should be the one to care the most. He cares the least. Peterson should care because it's going to tarnish his reputation. But he doesn't care. He'll get another coaching gig in 2 years or 3 years after he gets fired from Jacksonville. Mike Caldwell doesn't give two shits. He's got 1 or 2 more years to try to do his defense, and maybe he gets lucky. Same thing with the guys under him. If the coaching doesn't care, the players don't care. Nobody's held accountable, and there's no accountability on this team, and that's why you see what you see. That's why you constantly see men out of place. It's why you constantly see players who look lost because they don't know the playbook. Because nobody's asking them, do you know what you're doing? No, nobody's yelling at them. This isn't what you're doing. What are you doing? It's a cluster. It's a cluster F. That's exactly what it is. The whole defense is a cluster F.
And the reason, the reason
why
I'm questioning whether they care and what they're doing in their off time is because I understand that in a way the coach's hands are tied. The way that everything is going, it's going player safety and player time, and you can't be with the team and all this other stuff that ends up happening where it's all about making the life of the player more comfortable and safe. Okay, so it ties the coach's hands to a certain extent, but here's the problem. Every coach's hands are tied. Every team has the same playing field. It's all that where you have, and that's why I'm getting to this idea that maybe the difference between the teams now is more based on who does the additional stuff in their off time as opposed to just, showing up and
so have you ever wondered why you got 2-star athletes in college, 2-star football players. They both get drafted in the first round in the NFL. One makes it and blows up and becomes a Hall of Famer. The other one, he's out after 3 years. Do you know what the difference between those two players usually is?
I've heard it's toughness, but I don't know.
It's a will to do the little things extra. It's a will to study your playbook, to know how to set up the cornerback, say they're receivers, to know how to set up that cornerback you're going to face, to know whether the guy has any moves other than a bull rush. It is those small details that make the Hall of Famers versus the washouts. What we have is we have washouts, but we can't replace them because then we start to get less talented individuals.
Yeah.
And at some point, no matter how big somebody's heart is, if you don't run a 4.2 or 4.3, you're not catching that guy. I don't care how big your heart is. I don't care how much you study.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's enough bitching about that. So how do we fix it? I got ideals. You got ideals?
Well, I think, the main thing is, let me say this, back on coaching and what I would do. If you remember Tom Coughlin, and he was always the disciplinarian, and when he went up to the Giants, one of the things they said when they won the Super Bowl that year was there was a change in Coughlin's coaching style mid year. And I bring that up because I think what we do need to do is a change. I'm very tired of hearing stay the course. I don't want to hear that anymore because the course is not a good course. It's a losing course. And once you understand that, which I think the evidence is in at this point, you have to change if you care about winning. And I know that it's a scenario where we can say, well, they don't care about winning, and we've sort of said that. But I think everybody cares about winning. It's just a matter of whether or not they care more than the other teams care. So if we care at all, even just a little bit, we have to change. And so my thought process is you have to work, you have to say it. No more of this stuff about how good you are. That's the first thing I would change. No more of that. You can't say that anymore because we're not good. We are not a good team, and it does no good to say that. So I would start there, and then because of that, I would say we have changes we have to make. Everything's on the table. I would tell the guys this. That's what I would say. When you stink, I'm going to bring somebody in your place because you stink. And they started that a little bit with Lloyd, putting Muma in there. Again, I'd take Trayvon and put him on the inside. What are you going to lose? I watched Fatukasi get basically moved right out of the way. Adam Gotsis it can't hold up. Put Trayvon in the middle and bring Devin Lloyd on the outside. Everybody's calling for it, and the worst case scenario is you're going to get what you got right now. I mean, I honestly can't think that it would be even any worse than what you're seeing at this point.
I agree. So here's what I would like. I would like them. Here's my change. Fire Mike Caldwell. I'm sorry, but whether it was you or wasn't you, it happened under your watch. So I would fire you. Next thing I would do is promote whoever else is just a fill-in. I would move to a 4-3. I'd put Walker it in. I'd put Allen it in. And then that way, between Smoot, Fatukasi, Hamilton, and Roy Robinson Harris, you have more pieces on those two defensive tackles to move around. Why? For the exact reason you said. I like Adam Gotsis. I think he's a try-hard, big-heart guy. But he's 270 pounds. And he literally got washed out. And Detroit ran for about 6 or 7 yards. Every time I saw him in there, I'd double team him and just move him on out the way. That's what I would do. And I think that's what teams are doing. So I would do everything I could to only put him in a rotation for passing downs. Okay. So we got that settled, right? We're back to a 4-3, and it's a very simple 4-3 because you can't do a lot. You can't coach up schemes a whole lot. Okay. So that's what I would do now. After the season, I would fire Trent Baalke. And I would go out and I would go get another GM.
Why don't we fire Trent Baalke now? What's the Titans just fired their GM. The Titans did. They're leading our division, and they fired their GM. This is loser mentality that we do.
Okay, fire him now. Fire him now. I want him gone.
Yeah,
I want him gone. I'm tired of it. You made the wrong pick at number 1. You made the wrong pick at number 2. You traded up back into 1 and made the wrong pick. All you've done is make wrong picks and wrong decisions. How many bad decisions do you need before you fire somebody?
The problem is you don't know.
In my job, dude, I think if I'm Trent Baalke and I have Baalke's credentials, I would have already been fired. I would have been let go years ago.
Yeah.
Why is it this way? So anyway, I bring in a new GM. I bring in a whole new defensive. I sit down with Doug Peterson and the new GM, and we find a defensive coordinator. We go and we get it. And then we start putting together our defensive staff. We leave our offensive staff, which I think is okay. We leave them where they are, and that's what we do.
I mean, I have no problem with that. If it were me, I probably would leave Caldwell in for the remainder of the year and fire him in the offseason, and I'd fire Baalke right now, because it's one thing or another. Because here's the deal: Caldwell hasn't had enough time to. He's had enough time. Okay, let me backtrack that. He's had enough time for me to know I don't want him going forward.
Yep.
For all the reasons we've said. But Baalke's had even more time. And I don't want to make a rash decision, and I don't want it to get it to be a scenario where every game is going to be this Detroit game. I want to give them a time to respond. I want to give Caldwell time to respond. And I want to see what they do. I just want to see it. Because it doesn't matter. The season at this point is over. And when you do what you're talking about, you're saying that, and you're giving that sign to the players. I don't want to be overly rash, but I think firing Baalke at this point would be a shot over the bow. Because you're saying to the players that we don't believe in you because the guy who thought you guys were good players thought you were good players. So, and that guy's gone. And so you're saying it without saying it. You're saying, guys, everybody knows what's going on. You guys kind of stink. And the guy who brought you here and assembled all you guys, he's gone now because he thought you guys could do the job. And it's obvious at this point that you haven't been able to. So I think that's enough of a shot. That with the Detroit game, to me, it gives the fans an injection of hope. It explain, it's enough. I wouldn't be overly rash, but I would start that process of getting the funk off. And shot of the ballot kind of brought this to my mind because I heard Josh Allen say that the plays that we had didn't match the plays that they had. Did you hear that?
I'm done listening to their garbage. No, I didn't hear that.
But here's why that's important. What is he saying? He's saying the defensive coordinator's calling the wrong plays. He's like, we were doing this, expecting this, and they had something completely different planned. So that was, to me, a veiled shot at the defensive coordinator and what's going on. So to your point about firing Caldwell, but again, I would still give him an opportunity to respond and see what happens. Because I don't think they're going to improve anything this year. The defense, my expectation was we would be a slow starting defense, but it would begin to gel. Instead, we're falling apart. It's getting worse and worse, and it's
and the cavalry ain't coming.
No, that's true. And here's the deal. Here's who is coming. Derrick Henry's coming. So
twice.
Bring your lunch pail, boys, because I think we saw a real team take on the Titans and smack them in the mouth. And now we have to play that team. And so I would love for us to fire our GM and then go into that game and say, here Peterson, what do you got prepared now? Do you do you now understand what is before you? Do you understand that your grade so far with this team is very bad? Tell you what, here's the good thing. Trevor looks like a great quarterback. Even with that game, he looked like a great quarterback. If Zay Jones didn't go 180 degrees and just drop everything, like he went, he was catching everything the week before, and now he's dropping everything. This is sort of the stuff that's happening around Trevor. We have to sort of figure out how to give this guy some kind of stability. And of course, Zay Jones was brought in here by Balky.
Yep.
And now if Peterson wanted him, okay, they need to figure something out. They've got Calvin Ridley coming. So I'm still hopeful that they can get this turned around. My thought too on the point of what would you do moving forward, I'm going to draft nothing but offense next year. I don't think our defense is salvageable.
No. At least a cornerback. At least in the top three picks, one of them has got to be a cornerback.
Yeah, I guess going in, I have no problem with corner, but
now I'm fine. I'm fine coming away with a good tight end, a good receiver, and a cornerback. I'm okay with that. If we came away with that, I'd be like, okay.
I want offensive line. I want offensive line. I want
we need
skill
a right
position.
tackle.
I want offensive lines. I want tight end. I want wide receiver. I gotta get Trevor weapons because the way this team looks like the Colts of Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck years. No defense. We've got it. The guys that
Dude, they had Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis. We got Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen.
Okay.
They're not even in the same stratosphere.
That's fine, but here's the deal. They also had the way the Colts ran was the offense put pressure, made the defense better. They scored because Dwight Freeney wasn't a great blocker. You know, he's not a run stuffer. He was an undersized defensive end. He's like 6'1", 250. Like he's Adam Gotsis. You just talked about it. So my point is, the defense was better for the Colts because they focused on offense. They made the offense better. That's what we got to do right now. If you're asking me what I would do, I would say forget the defense. As far as jars on the shelf, I'm going my new defensive coordinator is getting at this point. This is the same freaking guys he's got now. You better figure it out somehow. Bend don't break. I don't give a crap. You're going to get some street free agents or whoever else you can get, some cheap free agents. That's who he's going to have to work with. Now, I'll give you, if we can get another corner to put by Campbell, or get a slot corner and move Williams over to the outside.
No, I'm done with Williams. You leave Williams in the slot.
He sucks at the slot, though. That's the thing. He's never played slot. We got him playing slot. And then we drafted Trayvon, and we're going to make him a pass rusher. He's never done it. So we're taking guys. That's again, back to the point of coaching, and
that's what we do.
We're taking people and putting them out of position. So my point is that you can take guys, and I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's what I would do. I would focus on offense because we've spent so much on defense and we have got zero in return from it. We have the second highest paid defense in the league, and it is abysmal and pathetic. I'm not worrying about defensive players anymore, at least as far as my upper tier focus. I'm going to try to get coaches that know what the hell they're doing, because Belichick, you bring somebody like Bill Belichick and you put him with our guys and they'll turn it around. They'll get something. They'll make a serviceable defense out of it. You can do it if you know what you're doing. What we have is a blatant mismanagement. Maybe Caldwell needs 2 years to get it going, but we ain't got it. We ain't got it for you, buddy. You've never done it before in your career, and you suck right now, so we can't wait. We got to get somebody in here. I'd bring some stable defensive coordinator who knows what the hell they're doing. I'd bring them in, and I'd say, look, this is who you got to deal with. That's it. Figure it out. I understand we ain't going to be great. Make it the best you can. And I'm going to focus on Trevor. I'm going to give him everything. I want Trevor to lead the league. That's going to be my focus.
Fair enough. Focus on Trevor. All right, predictions for this week.
I'm not going to give a score prediction. I don't think at this point it matters. Obviously, we're going to get smacked around. You know, that's what's going to happen.
Tennessee's going to win. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, and I'm at the point as a Jag fan where I'm actually hoping Tennessee just beats the brakes off of us, because that's what's weird about you become whatever it's called, masochistic or whatever, because you're like just inflict damage on these people because that's how we feel. You know, I want the coaching staff to look awful. I want everybody on that defense to look this big, because that's how we've been treated. I don't want this facade of them thinking they're still professional, they're a professional product, and they're going to get it turned around. I want all that done. I want it 6 feet under. I don't want to hear that garbage anymore, especially when it comes to this defense, because it's one thing for the offense, because what we've seen, I can kind of understand it's coming together. The defense has been like this the whole time, and I'm at that point. I'm to the point, I'm so over it that I want the Titans to just beat the brakes off of us. And so it wouldn't harm me at all to see it. There's part of me that thinks, good, you're ripping the Band-Aid off. You know, that's almost the way I feel about it at this point.
I can understand that I definitely can get that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it here. Ripping the Band-Aid off. Sort of. Except for we're still going to have Bulky next year and Mike Caldwell and everybody else who can do their jobs. Yay!
We just got to get better next year, guys.
Yeah. We just got to keep trying.
We're going to do the same thing and expect different results the Jaguar way.
That's right. Woo! Because we're going to go out and we're going to draft a 6'6", 280-pound safety, and we're going to put him at corner. Because that's what we do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. Hope you like the show. Leave us a comment. Hit like, subscribe. It's free.
And it'll cost you a thing to subscribe, y'all.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
See ya.